Hey, gorgeous souls out there. Yes, I'm back. So soon, right? It just depends. I don't have a set schedule for these things, as you guys know. It's just sort of when I'm led to do something. But this session for me today is kind of more of a fun mode because it's something I like to talk about. um, ETs, your extraterrestrials, and for those people that said, could you please stop calling them aliens and call them ETs? Yes, and I agree with that because they are extraterrestrial. We are terrestrial, they're extra beyond that. They're not really, a lot of them aren't alien because they belong here. And another thing I want to kind of go into a little bit today is astrology. Some astrological fun facts is what I call it. Um, there's just certain things that you don't have to be deep into astrology to notice about someone and pick up about someone. So I just want to kind of put a few of those out there. But let's get the little mundane stuff out the way. So the mundane stuff, I have been telling you guys since before, but last year, the end of last year, before Don the Khan took office, that I just saw that there were his administration was going to be like a seesaw. And I know many of you remember this because you've said it. He's going to put something out and then retract it. He's going to put some people out and then retract them. He's going to make a decision on something and then backtrack. Like it's just like a seesaw. Stuff is just not going to stick. A lot of stuff won't stick. And so that is why it's so important to just keep yourself on that divine love train. Okay. And just be an observer out the window. You're looking, not touching, you're not taking it in, you're just kind of observing, but you're staying on that train and keep pushing forward, and just allow things to be revealed to you as you're on that divine love train because that's what love does. Love unfolds understanding, okay? Divine love will unfold understanding in your way, okay? In your specific, individual, unique way. You know, um, I remember someone said to me, I think that divine love is like a blanket. It just blanketly covers all. Yes, it is, but it is amazingly, beautifully, synchronistically individual. It's individualistic. And the reason is because our true essence is made up of love, right? It's made up of the element, the substance of love, of that divine love. And so each element of that divine love has its own individual signature, energy, etc. Okay? So while divine love is a blanket, absolutely covering everything, right? It is the most individualistic element there is. It's perfect in every way for you individually. And so when it brings us to a form of understanding, it's always in a way that we need it. A lesson that needs to come to me is not going to come the same to you at all. And a lesson that's going to come to a lot of people in this country is going to come differently. That's why some folks can look at certain actions of this administration and be like totally unfazed by it, right? And then other actions, they're like appalled by it, okay? That's because everyone's barometer is different And love has to meet each and every person where they are. All right. So, that being said about the back and forth swing seesaw, um, there was something I wanted to. Oh, like the China, Canadian, and Mexican tariffs, right? He put those all out there, and then they were all withdrawn. Well, the Mexican and the Canadian tariffs were withdrawn after what, just a day, right? And he's using the deal that Biden made with them um, to claim as his win. Okay, whatever. Um, and his little people are bringing it up, are calling it a win. That's hilarious, but whatever. But that's just kind of typical because he has no real. Um, when you don't act on principle, basically everything that you do is like a sway in the wind, right? And that's basically what's going on with this entire administration. And then the China, I remember he said the United States will not accept any packages from China or Hong Kong. And that the very next day also was taken back, and now they are allowing them. So it's like, if you try to keep up with this mess, it'll drive you nuts. So just keep yourself on that divine love train. And I just got to add this as a little funny. Um, I don't know how it popped up on my feed, but this woman had her TV was on and the news was showing Don the Con, and her dog just started growling like, "Mm." And it was like this deep, not good growl. It was almost a little scary to me. And then I liked that post because I just thought it was great. But then another one popped up, and then a whole bunch of them started popping up on my feed. Animals are so much more in tune to the element behind human psyche. Animals are extremely attuned to that, and I talk about that in my first book. I have a whole section on pets in there. Um, but they are so in tune and so aware, okay, and they're able to express that a lot of times, and they do. They are the best barometer of if someone has your best intentions at heart or if not. So like if your dog is like not feeling someone and tries to let you know, listen to it. Listen to him. Or your cat, for instance. Although cats generally don't like anyone because they're on a little bit different uh spiritual spectrum than dogs. Dogs are a bit more grounded um earthwise, but cats are a little bit more on the not so earthwise spectrum, if you can understand that. And speaking of our pets, someone had asked me, do they experience pain? Let's see. I want to find the exact question here. Uh, of course, that I'm on the video now. I won't be able to find it. Okay. But anyway, they were asking, do they suffer and experience pain? So, yes, they do. They can experience a suffering physically, but it does not affect their psyche as it affects us. And I'm not sure if that actually makes sense. I know what I'm trying to say, but sometimes I have true loss for words. So, in other words, yes, they will experience pain, but they will not. They don't go into a suffering mode. They don't have the suffering part of the human psyche. Okay. Um, Fortunately, animals, although they do have souls, they are of the animal kingdom, um, which is much different from the our um, we call it human here, but it's really not human spiritually. Okay, but there's all types of spiritual kingdoms. Okay, animal kingdom being one of them, and then there's many different types. Okay, and so they don't have that ability to retain the suffering of pain. They're in a lot better shape than we are as far as that goes. Okay, because pain, when we experience pain, there it is typically tied to a true reason for experiencing that pain. Pain is just not a cruelty inflicted upon us. It's tied to something. Okay. So they don't experience that type of suffering um, like we do. Okay. So, okay. So let's talk about ETs. And you guys are hilarious to me because you're all trying to guess. Some of you are actually like trying to lovingly bribe me. And then I fear that these bribes are going to turn like more nasty. Like, you better tell us. I will not. I can't. And I haven't been given the go ahead to tell who is who. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to out anyone. However, I've given you guys some great clues. I gave you guys that clue on the actor a while ago. I'm not going to say if you guessed it right or not. But I just loved your guesses. I really did. A lot of you were guessing good, and I gave you these three, um, and you guys, put out your thoughts, et cetera, et cetera. So here's the thing: how to tell if, how? Okay, the first one question regarding the ETs that are amongst us, um, whether they're in government or not, how do I tell? And then how can you guys tell? So I'll do how I tell. So typically, once I see someone, I am given a flash if they are of ET origin um, of their true essence, of their true body, and it is typically very alien, not not human at all. And I've told you guys before, there are the great good ones and the not so good ones. And there's a lot of the not so good ones too. Um, and especially for the not so good ones, you guys can tell, especially in the government now, you guys can just tell there is typically not only a dried up type expression. There's no joy, there's no happiness. Um, and if you pay close attention, they all have that same almost expression. They all have the same type of uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Reaction um, when they're speaking. and there's no genuineness to their responses, to their reactions to things. There's no genuineness. There's nothing coming from the heart. And there's a lot of those, especially in one particular party. And you don't have to be a psychic or even an intuitive um, to even guess who these people are. Um, Not all of them, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of them in there. And those negative ones are concentrated in the Republican Party. Um, as for the good, um, how to spot the good ones if you're not given that image that I am given um, on them. And by the way, there are different types. There are different types that have kind of infiltrated. And when I say infiltrated, I just mean that they are in. That's not necessarily a negative thing. But there are different types that are in our government, especially. But there's a lot of them that are not just government politicians. There are quite a few actors. There's some performers, singers. Um, so as for the good ones, the way to spot them is they have a they are almost above the human emotional our where our spectrum where we display our emotions, not that they don't have emotions because they do, but their emotional meter is very refined and very on the um it doesn't carry a lot of baggage. That's the first thing. Okay, they don't have typically the same type of emotional baggage that us regular people have, right? um they have an absolute um they don't necessarily change. They are steadfast, they are strong in their purpose, and they don't change it. You rarely see, you will see justifiable anger, righteous anger, but you won't see just regular anger from them. Okay? You will not see them just getting pissed just to be pissed. Okay? Like, for instance, me, when I'm screaming at someone in my car, cursing them out, um, that's baggage. And that's just, me just getting angry, right? Being like a total moron, right? Okay, you won't see that from them. They don't have that. That's the first thing. They have righteous anger against stuff that isn't right. Okay? So that's one way to tell them. Okay? Another way to tell them is there is a. Now, this is a big clue. There is a certain symmetry to their face. Okay? They have almost a perfection to their facial structure. In a few of them, there's a beauty beyond a beauty. Okay, these people are typically either extremely handsome or extremely beautiful, and there's a symmetry to their face, okay, that um, almost like it was drawn, okay, and they don't typically age like we do. They don't age like us, okay, and just my face alone proves that I'm just not like I'm not one of those aliens, okay. Um, but seriously though, so that's another huge clue. People have asked, were they born to normal parents? Yes, they are born to normal parents. Um, but it is a very planned birth. The true alien, not alien, sorry, I'm trying not to say that anymore. The true ET essence, etc. And translation to human DNA is inserted at some point. Um, and they are they were born to accomplish what they came here to accomplish. Another big clue is they're extremely fearless, very fearless. And 8 times out of 10, their lives are extremely protected. Okay? Very protected. Because they can say and get away with saying things that you would be, and I am a very fearless person myself. I am pretty much truly fearless. But even I have my limits. Okay, these people have no limits, none whatsoever. Okay, none whatsoever. Um, they also don't suffer the same type of illnesses we typically have. They they're pretty robust. Their physical forms are pretty robust. Now, it was also asked, do they know? Um, Most of them will know that they are of ET origin. Most of them. Some of them are remain unaware until maybe a certain point in their life, and then it happens. Their truer nature comes out, and they know their mission comes out, and they know. Um, so those are some big clues on who how to spot them. Um, and let's see. Oh, another thing is, excuse me, they exceed human integrity. They cannot be bought, bribed. They could give a flying F about money. Some of them are able to have money because one of their missions is to basically quietly give it away or use it for their mission. Okay. Um, and especially the ones that have been activated that didn't necessarily come here knowing, but it was revealed to them later when they're activated. Um, they they typically at that point will gain a lot of money and will quietly disperse it. That's how you know EM is not a good one or not one, period. Okay. Because just think about it. With the amount of money he has, he could do a ton of good, and yet there's zero good coming out anything that he's doing. So, is he one of the negative ones? I have not seen him. That wasn't revealed to me about him. No, it wasn't. He's different for sure, but I think that has more to do with his. I know that he was considered on the spectrum of being autistic or having Asperger's. So maybe that's why people think that he's an ET origin, but no, that has not. It has not been revealed to me that he is. So, yes, these people exceed integrity, our normal human integrity. They can't be bought, paid off, threatened, anything, nothing. And they know that they are protected. It's just not a question. And they can't be touched. They cannot be touched. Period. So, I've answered a lot of those questions, and I understand the fascination with that because I too have a fascination with it. And one last thing is there is almost a around the good positive ones. There is a there's a type of energy that comes off of them. You can almost see a glow if you squint your eyes sometimes and around the ones that you may suspect, squint your eyes at them sometime and just see if there's like this faint glow that emits off of them. Okay. Now, if you don't see it, that doesn't mean no, they're not the one, but it just means that you weren't able to see it. But at times you can see that glow. They just can't help it. And if you put them on one of those, what do you call those cameras that can pick up people's auras? If you put them, if you took a picture of them with that type of camera or whatever, however they do it, I don't know that whole process. You would see it. You would see. There would be such a huge auric field around them, huge and strong. Okay, and let me tell you something. These people are not there, especially the ones in the government. They're not there for shits and giggles. They have a mission. They have a mission. They were placed there. And that's why I tell you that love is always working in there. It's peeking through all the time. Okay? Um, but yeah, so I think I've done pretty good in giving you guys some good hints, some good clues on how to tell and spot these people. And um, let's see. Okay, here's another one. Here's another good clue about someone that I haven't mentioned before. Um, they are extremely generous with their monies, and and they have a lot of it, and they always are almost always happy, pleasant, and are specifically to come here to be a performer. Okay, specifically. And that's all I'm going to say. That's an easy one, guys. So come on. That's an easy one. And no, I'm not going to say, are they male or female? Because then that'll just be a giveaway. But remember, we're not trying to out these people. And although I'm not ET, I do have integrity. And so I'm not outing anyone. Okay. So I want to talk about some astrological fun facts. Okay. So here it is. There are certain aspects that you can know if you know nothing, hardly anything about astrology. This is basically a cheat sheet. Okay. And I'll just name a few of them. Now, if you see someone that is super duper tall, above average height, right? They will typically have a Capricorn or an Aquarius ascendant, period. If that super tall person is bony, you can almost bet every dime you have that they have a Capricorn ascendant, because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn rules the bones, bony. Okay. So if they are super tall, have the height, and are super like skinny, bony, not, I don't care what their sun sign is, they will typically have a Capricorn ascendant. Okay. Your great, beautiful singers will have Taurus somewhere prominent in their chart. Taurus is ruled by Venus, but Taurus also rules the throat. Okay. The voice is part of the throat. That person will typically either be a Taurus sun or ascendant, have Venus in Taurus, okay? If their singing is just heavenly, they're just a great, good singer. That's not the only aspect that makes great singers. You can have Venus in Pisces. You can have prominent Libra placements. Pavarotti had prominent Libra placements. Okay, and he's got one of the best, voices ever, right? But typically it will be Taurus. Barbara Streisand is a Taurus, and I think she's got like a Taurus, either moon or ascendant, a few other things in Taurus. But you can kind of bet the farm that you've got either major Taurian aspects um, with, or either a Pisces or strong Libra aspects. Okay. Um, you're super duper rich people, right? Pluto rules, amongst other things, the billionaires. Okay. Um, if you have, and the second house is money, big money. Okay. If a person is born with Jupiter in their second house, you can almost guarantee they're going to at some point be super wealthy. Okay, if they have major aspects to Pluto, if Pluto's in the second house, it's a lock. They are billionaires. Okay, if they have certain aspects to Pluto, money. Um, and like I said, don't come at me, you astrologers. Well, you can also have this. I'm saying these are not the only aspects, but these are your like obvious ones. Okay. The most, you know, uh, regular type, but there's definitely other aspects for some of these stuff. Um, Typically, if you have a person, you can usually tell the length of a person's life if they have a very well aspected Saturn. like Saturn in the first house, typically will give a very long life because Saturn rules time. Okay. Saturn is longevity. Saturn in the eighth house rules death. Could kind of, amongst other things, but could kind of go either way. Saturn in that house could either mean a long life or a difficult type of death. Okay. Um, let's see. Oh, psychic. Okay, a person being very psychic. There's other aspects for this, but one of the most obvious ones are where your moon. The moon is your emotions, your intuition, your psyche. Okay, if you have the moon in one of the water signs, which are the receptors, water is a receptor, right? Um, that will typically denote some form of psychicness, strong intuitive person. If you have the moon as well, and your water signs are Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer. If you have the moon and Venus, excuse me, in the water sign, super duper psyche. This person is. I happen to have moon in Pisces and my Venus in Pisces. So that's a very psychic placement. I also have Jupiter in the 12th house, which amplifies the psychicness because the 12th house deals with all things hidden, um, below the surface, and Jupiter is your higher wisdom, your higher, um, the higher. So that will almost guarantee if someone says, "Yeah, my moon's in Scorpio," don't try to get over on them. Okay, they know it. Another good placement for being psychic, intuitive, moon in Aquarius. Okay, Aquarius rules flashes of intuition. Okay, now here's one that's a little surprising: moon in Aries. Aries is a fire sign, although it's not very known for its psychicness. However, Aries it does everything quick. So the Aries psyche needs to know stuff quick, so it puts feelers out and gets it back real quick. So they get quick flashes of things. So they may not have like a consistent psychic basis, but they can get flashes of stuff that hit the mark a lot of times. Ah, okay, here we go. This is one of the funnest facts for me. Saturn rules karma. Okay, be careful, and Saturn rules Capricorn. It also rules Aquarius. Be very careful of screwing with Capricorns and Aquarius. And the reason is because their ruler rules karma. Typically, when you mess with either one of those, you tend to get your karma back quick. Okay, so be very careful about that. It comes back very swiftly, harsh, and they're protected that way. Capricorns and Aquarius. It's hard having Saturn as a ruler, especially for Capricorns. It's very hard because it also, on the flip side, means it's very tough for them to do stuff wrong because they feel it, they get it back, and it's typically magnified. So they got to toe the line big time. But Saturn is a dual protector. Okay, it will also protect them. So if you screw a Capricorn over, it's going to come back quicker than it probably would normally, and it's going to be very harsh. All right, so just keep that in mind. And the last fun fact I want to talk about is we all hear about Jupiter being the planet of luck and those it rules. It rules Sagittarius and Pisces. So naturally, those two signs are going to be a little extra lucky than the rest of us, poor slobs, right? Um, they Jupiter is the great benefic. It's beneficial to who it rules, and it just gives. It's like they're born Sagittarius and Pisces are just born a little extra lucky than the rest of us, which only means that they're fortunate enough to have like the good energy that's coming to them come a little bit more quicker and more often, okay? But those folks just you're like, "Oh my god, how did they get out of that? What the?" Or stuff just happens for them like, "Oh my, like I can't believe it. You applied for this job that like 10 billion other people applied for and you got it?" That's typically Sags or Pisces. I know. It's just, that's just the way it is. They're just very fortunate that way. But anyway, so those are the few astrological fun facts, and I'll come out with more at some point. Um, let's see. I think that's sort of it. Um, we do have some pretty good energy coming our way. A lot of the planets that have been retrograde, like Uranus, Jupiter, um, and a few others, but I'm not going to say right this second because I totally forget. It's just without my mind. They've been in retrograde motion. They're going direct. The energy will start to pick up and things move forward. Mars is still retrograde, but it will be going direct also soon. So if you've been super exhausted or just things aren't working fast enough for you or whatever, all that's getting ready to change. I know for a fact Uranus is now direct, and Uranus rules the unexpected. So out of the blue and unexpected. So expect that. Um, so that's it. And guys, go Eagles. And that's a double extra wink. Um, and I'll reiterate one more time. I said this a few weeks ago. I've been repeating it. If you are going to the Super Bowl, just be careful outside the stadium as well as in. Be very watchful. Be very watchful of things. I just, excuse me, I think there's going to be quite a few different incidences going on. Okay, different and many different things going on with it. So just be very careful, very watchful. Enjoy yourself, but just be careful. Oh, and the last thing, that earthquake I told you guys that I was feeling like just it was like forceful. A lot of when that video came out, that exact day, you guys were putting in the comments that the underwater volcano in Greece was erupting. Okay. And so I looked it up because it was like 10 different people said it. So I looked it, I Googled it, and sure enough, there is an underwater volcano in Greece that is erupting. Greece has had like hundreds of earthquakes in like a span of 2 days. And so I was given that about the volcano because it was going to be like a major thing. I don't usually get like the little minor stuff. it was going to be major, and the entire one of their entire islands had to be evacuated. Santorini. So my thoughts are with those people because that's got to be horrific. I mean, hundreds of earthquakes in a 2 day span. They had to totally evacuate, leave their homes, etc. And then, when the earthquake stopped, they can't come back because of this volcano that's literally actively beginning to erupt. So, and I was telling you guys, I wasn't really seeing it in the United States, and I understand now why. It's definitely this one for sure. So anyway, our thoughts to them for sure. All right, guys, this has been fun. Thank you for tuning in, and love to you.